Hello Sagittarius, welcome to Monarch Intuition, and today I'm going to be doing your October 2022 monthly check-in reading for you. So if you're new to my channel, what I like to do is I like to pull one major arcana to see the energy and then clarify with the different deck. So what's going on for the sign of Sagittarius? What do we need to know for you? We have the Wheel of Fortune. So Wheel of Fortune, fortune spinning in your favor. What goes down must go up and what goes up must come down. The eternal cycle of life, because remember it's a loop, right? An eternal loop. So when we talk about the Wheel of Fortune, this is you going through phases within your life. This is you completing cycles. This can also represent, a windfall of blessings, a windfall of opportunity. But usually when I see the Wheel of Fortune, this is you about to start a new cycle or you completing an old one and then moving into the next phase. So it's important to understand you can fall off the Wheel of Fortune and you can complete cycles and then have to redo them. For example, you get a really good job, but you have a drug addiction from your past. Well, you start doing drugs again, and then you fall off the Wheel of Fortune because you lose that really good job. So you have to complete that cycle of going through rehab, going through therapy, whatever, to complete this cycle and then finding that good job again. And then potentially, the influence of drugs coming back up within your life. So that's what you have to understand with the Wheel of Fortune, is that it is also kind of like a test as well. Test to see if you can pass this cycle. So what's going on for Sagittarius? What do we need to know? We have the Magician, we have the Ace of Cups, and we have the Empress right here. So here's the thing about the Magician card. The Magician is someone who can, alchemize with all different elements. He has water, fire, wind, and earth. Now, with the Magician, he also has a cup of water, right? And that's the Ace of Cups right here. So when I see the Magician, this represents gaining some sort of mastery over a situation, gaining mastery that allows you to be very happy. Now, this mastery does tie into this Empress right here. The Empress does represent, wealth on this earth. It can represent fertility, abundance, having children. It can also represent pieces of property or land ownership. So I kind of feel like you're gaining mastery in how to acquire situations, acquire wealth, acquire money, things that make you happy. So with this Wheel of Fortune, you're learning something. You're learning the process of the Magician. The Magician doesn't actually represent a person. It can represent concepts, ideas, and ideologies. For example, you understanding how the stock market works, you understanding how, crypto markets work, you understanding how these systems operate and how they function, how to pull your money out and then reinvest, pull your money out and reinvest. That's the Wheel of Fortune right there. And by you doing so, you're gaining some sort of money, you're gaining wealth back with this Empress energy. This Ace of Cups is saying that it makes you eternally fulfilled. It makes you happy because remember, the Ace of Cups is kind of like the cup of immortality. So let's look at this energy. What's going on with this Magician energy? I'm going to be using the Vampire Tarot for this. So what do we need to know about this Magician? So you're gaining mastery, you're understanding how the system operates. These systems that are very complex that, the average person could not put together. Because when we think about the stock market, when we think about a smartphone, when we think about all these things, this technology, it's really easy for us to say, oh, that's just a smartphone. But none of us could probably reproduce it ourselves unless we have, degrees in electronic engineering or something like that, degrees in mathematics, whatever, right? And it generally takes a bunch of magicians. You have the magicians who operate, on the screen functions. You have the magicians who operate with the technology functions. You have the magicians who build the concept of the thing. Have all these people working together to present something, this Magician energy, this smartphone. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right here, is that you're gaining mastery, you're understanding how something works behind the scenes. So let's look at this Magician energy. We have the Eight of Cups and we have the Nine of Cups. So you walking away from situations, but then gaining some sort of eternal happiness, emotional fulfillment. So this is kind of like, here's the thing. A lot of people get, when they first start investing, they find a company that they really like, right? But here's the thing. Sometimes you have to pull your money out of that company and walk away from it for a little bit to reinvest it somewhere else. And I kind of feel like you're taking out the emotional aspects of something, so that way you can actually focus on gaining money, gaining wealth for yourself. For example, if you invest $100 and all of a sudden your $100 turns into $10,000, the probabilities of that going back up is pretty slim to none. You might go up to $12,000, but then it might go all the way back down. You only have $7,000 left, right? So you're pulling your money out, even though it hurts for you to walk away from something because you're like, oh, I kind of like that company. But that's the thing. That's how rich people do it. They pump something up and then they pull their money out and then invest it somewhere else. That's what you're doing with this Eight of Cups, with this Nine of Grails energy right here. You're investing in something and then you're pulling it out and then having this wish fulfillment for yourself, right? So what's this Ace of Cups? We have the Strength card and we have the Six of Cup, or the Six of Skulls. You're investing into opportunities that are very strong, that have financial stability behind them, that have some sort of stability. This could be emotional stability. You're investing in strong people. This could be, you have a company, and you are, sorry, I'm getting tongue tied, and you are investing in, proper employees right here. This could also just represent that you are building a very solid foundation for yourself, investing in very strong foundations right here, something that can give you some sort of emotional satisfaction for a very long period of time. What is this Empress energy? Oh, we have the Prince of Grails with the Ten of Cups. So I do feel like whatever you're doing right here, it does allow you to have some sort of emotional stability, financial stability. This is a very good reading. You're understanding the ebb and flows of how to invest right here, of how to invest time, money, and attention into people. You have to sometimes water the Empress, and then the Empress gives you the Ten of Cups. That's what you're doing right here. You're pulling from one thing, investing into this new situation, allowing it to grow, pulling your money out of that. And that's kind of like what you have to do like when you live on a farm too. Oh, these cards want to come out, so I'm going to pull them. Yeah, you have the Nine of Knives and the Nine of Skulls. So here's the thing. It's hard to work on like a farm. It's hard to live on a farm because sometimes you do have to kill animals. But, what you do goes back into the farm. An animal goes off to slaughter, but, you take the feathers, you can put them in compost, you can do arts and crafts with them, you can do whatever you want to. The innards, they go and, into a compost pile, or you can feed them to pigs or whatever. That cycle moves forward. By you slaughtering an animal, it does other things within the farm. And that's kind of what I'm seeing for you, is that you invest in one thing, pull your money out after you gain something out of it, and then move it into something over here. But here's the thing with this Nine of Skulls and this Nine of Knives, this is you very nervous about doing it. Trust me, whenever you first start, and learning how to invest, it gets very scary because you can see, like say you invest $100 and you get that 10,000, right? You pull your money out and then all of a sudden the price jumps up and you look at it and you're like, oh man, I could have had $12,000 instead. Maybe I should invest my money back in. No, don't do that. That's the whole point. People get lost in that fear of missing out energy. They feel like very scared. No, what you have to do is find something new to invest in, something that's also very strong, something that you can give money into, something that's new, that's starting out. That's how rich people stay rich. They don't stay within one thing. They move around. They buy new things. They invest in other companies. They have all these other, projects and opportunities behind them, to the point where if they invest like $1 million, that's like giving, 50 cents to a gumball machine. They're like, oh, if it turns into $5 million, I made $5. Like, they don't really view $1 million as a lot of money. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right here, is that you're trying to get to a point where you view money as just like another little object, like it's a bauble, it's nothing to you. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right here. It does take some sort of risk, and in order to have the reward, you do have to take a risk, and that's what the Nine of Knives is. But it's also calculated risk because it's Geminian energy. You're bouncing the energy back and forth. You're thinking about it over and over, but don't get stuck holding the bag, right? Don't get stuck, with the fear of missing out. With the Prince of Knives and the Six of Knives, when you do something, you stick with your idea and you don't continue to look at it and think of what you could have had, right? For example, some people, they invested at Bitcoin when it was like 10 grand and it shot up to $70,000. They pulled their money out at around 60,000, 50,000, and they said, that's it, I'm done playing that game. And they went and, had good lives with whatever money they made. They didn't worry about putting it back in, seeing if it would go up anymore. Once you make a decision, your decision is final. Once you send out the information to move your money or to move something or to purchase a property, whatever it is, your decision is final. Don't overthink the situation anymore, okay? Because that's what a lot of people do, is they'll sit there and obsess over situations, obsess over people. Once you've gotten what you need out of the situation, move on, all right? This could be you, being in sales right here. For example, if you sell cars, I've sold cars before, you want to make as many sales as you can. However, don't obsess over, people who are saying, yeah, I might buy a car, I might not. Chances are if they're on the fence, then they're not going to buy a car. Now, you might have to convince them between two companies how to do something, like you should buy my car over that car. However, if people are like, yeah, I'm just looking today, chances are they're not going to buy a car that day. All right, like 9 times out of 10. And you want to find people, you don't want to obsess over those people. You want to, get your card out there, get your name, get your number, but you want to continue to hit the pavement and find people who want to buy a car, right? That's what you're doing right here, is you're walking away from emotional investments, because, you might work with a customer 10, 20 minutes and they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna, walk away, whatever. Sometimes you can't get them in the building. Sometimes, things pop up. But here's the thing. If they walk away, go and find someone else. You're continuously moving. You don't let yourself be stopped. You're trying to get the ace in the hole right here. You're trying to build something for yourself. Because here's the thing. You can sell 8 cars a month. You make a lot of money in commission, because you don't get just commission for the car. You get commission off the car. You get commission off of how many units you sell of the car from the company itself. So, like, there's a lot, plus your paycheck that you get from the company. Like, you can make some bank if you know how to work the system properly. And that's what you're doing right here. You're figuring out, what is the method, what is the magic, what is the madness right here? How do I make this system work? And sometimes you have to learn how to, with this 10 of Cups and this 9 of Cups, along with this Prince of Grails and this 8 of Grails, you have to learn emotional maturity, emotional, I'm not going to say manipulation, but in a way it is kind of that. In a way, it is that. So you have to make something appear glamorous and beautiful, and that's what I'm seeing that you're doing. You're learning the art of making something beautiful in order to make money off of it. So we have the 7 of Scepters, we have the Ace of Cups, and you have the Daughter of Cups. Yeah, if people push back on the Ace of Cups, if you're trying to sell something to them and they push back, continue to keep going, all right? Continue to keep finding new situations for yourself. But just be aware, you don't want to, like, hurt people who don't have any clue. And that's, the problem with the wealthy versus people who are actually ethical people. You don't want to hurt people who could actually get seriously hurt. Like preying upon someone who just turned 18 and say their family passed away and left them some money in the will. Yeah, it's easy to get money because they want to buy a car, but at the same time, you should try to be an ethical person about that, all right? That's happened to me before. You got to convince them, hey, sometimes you shouldn't get that higher XL model, whatever. You need to go with something more practical so that we have money left over, right? And that's something that's very important right there, being a good, honest, hardworking person, understanding how the system works. And when you understand how the system works, it allows you to be a better person. You don't just trample all over the smaller person right here. You have the Queen of Cups, you have the 5 of Scepters, and you have the Justice right here. Because here's the thing, it can always come back to bite you in the ass. Yeah, if you don't want to use your powers to cause discord amongst people, you want to use your powers to cause ease. All right, you want to have this balanced energy. You don't want them to be fighting. You don't want them to be fighting with their emotions. You want them to have a solid peace that makes them happy. It makes you happy. The situation is balanced for both parties to be happy right here. And that's kind of what I'm seeing for you, is you don't want to just use people until there's nothing left of them. That's part of the reason that so many businesses fail, is that they abuse their employees, and the employees are like, oh, well, I'm going to take extra 10 minutes on my lunch break. I'm just going to not show up this day. I'm going to make sure that the boss, a lot of people will get really irritated and fuck the company over just because they can. And once the company gets fucked over by people who are working there, it's, it loses reputation. And that's what you don't want. You don't want people to be angry at you and fight with you internally inside of your company or whatever you're doing right here to destroy whatever you've built. So it's better to just be an ethical, honest person ultimately, right? So let's look at some more energy. What else is going on for you? We have the Magician, we have the 4 of Knives, and we have the Hanged Man. By you understanding how things work from a higher perspective, you can allow things to work for you. You can allow yourself to have rest and recovery, okay? So I do see that you're going to be working really hard on situations, but once you master something right here, once you figure it out, it allows you to go into like a very sleep, blissful state for yourself. You're allowed to see things from a higher perspective. You understand the power of the Magician, and you can rest knowing that. Okay, so let's look at the Witch's Familiar's energy. This is all about, gaining mastery, learning the situation all the way through. And once you know it, you can take a rest. It's kind of like, once a doctor goes through medical school, all those years of medical school, and they have an established practice and they've worked all those years, 15, 20 years, they can relax. They can buy nice houses, buy nice yachts, go on cruises, whatever the fuck they want to do. And that's what the situation is. You put in a lot of effort to become this magician, become a master of something, and then you have this opportunity to relax, right? So you have Fidelity, Swan, and you have Goblin, Malice. Once again, that's the polarities between situations right here. With this fidelity energy, what you need to understand is that if you want to work with people, you need to make sure that they're in your court and you have to be there for them too. So if you have an employee and you know that they're a solid employee and then all of a sudden they start having, fuck ups within their life, and I'm not talking like that they caused them, but they're going through a divorce. All of a sudden they found out someone cheated on them, they're going through a divorce. It's not within your best interest to screw that person over just because they have court dates and whatnot. Not to have this malice, because if you do that, they're going to view you as a bad guy instead of being someone who's an emotionally supportive person for them. And that's, being a good boss. Sometimes bosses are just like, you know what? For Christmas, I'm going to give everyone, a $5,000 raise. That stops the malice from happening because they view you as a good person. And, some people don't like that. They're like, oh, well, why should I have to help other people? Because that's the whole point of living. You build something, you help other people have nice lives. You have a very good life for yourself. You have more than enough. And then you're going to die and it's not going to be there with you anymore. But at least you died knowing you helped other people. Like, think of all the kings and queens of the world who've stolen, colonized, taken, just murdered for greed. Did they take anything with them in their fucking casket? No. I mean, they may have put some diamonds and jewels in there, but then, the pharaohs were buried with diamonds and jewels, but they didn't take them with them to the next step, to the next phase within their life. It's not there. It's not going to be with you, all right? And that's what the fuck people need to understand, is that it's okay to just have a nice life and help other people and be okay with what you have and what you do for others. Because ultimately, empires fall. They all fall. Greece, Rome, Egypt, whatever, Carthage. Companies fall too. The Vanderbilts at one point were like one of the wealthiest families and they fell. It all comes falling down, but at least if it's going to come falling down in, 100 years, 200 years, at least you did the right thing when you had it. Okay? So let's look at the spellcasting oracle cards. So fighting the goblin malice energy. And once you start having money, it's easier for you to become more greedy and to cut corners to try to make more money. And so that's something that you have to understand, is being connected to something and being grounded as an individual. What truly makes you happy? Does stuff make you happy? Yeah, it does. Having nice things makes you happy. But remember, it's quality over quantity. And that's something that people oftentimes mistake. A lot of people will want to have 70 different purses and 100 different pairs of shoes and 6 houses and whatnot. Wouldn't it be nicer to have one nice beautiful house that you built exactly the way that you wanted it, with the one nice car that you liked, or 2 or 3, however many people you have in your family, with the nice pool, with the nice clothing, the nice wardrobe, whatever, not over the top, but everything that you could want. Maybe it's custom tailor made for you, but still be a good person. It's not saying that you can't have nice things and you can't be a beautiful, wealthy, well-off individual who people can look up to, but it's like quality over quantity. Some people will just want, people will invest in like the ghetto simply because they want to own the ghetto. Like, why? Why would you, hurt all these people here just so you can say that you owned it? Like, that's a simple thing. That's a simple nature of, super uber wealthy elites. They just want control over situations, regardless of if it's good or if it's not. They just want it. Closure, fertility. So here's the thing. Understanding the closure at the end of it, having the closure for yourself of being a wise, honest individual. And that's the whole point of Sagittarius, being the sage. Being fertile, being abundant, having the nice things within your life, but also knowing that it will all come to an end eventually. And that's the thing, is people want to leave a legacy, and that's fine. You can always leave a very positive legacy. There are some kings and queens of the world who have the worst legacies known to mankind. They were known as horrible, evil, awful people. And then there are some people who are known as the best people in the world, like Princess Diana. Like, everyone just says she was one of the best. Like, it is what it is, right? So anyway, let's look at your Awaken oracle cards. Leave a good legacy behind. Oh, we got flow, go with the flow. We got cosmic blueprint and Merkaba. Here's the thing. If you go with the flow, the cosmic blueprint will play out. And the cosmic blueprint is how the world works, how the universe functions. You will go through this cycle of life. You will make other people. You will leave a good impression on those people. And you know, you will ascend in the Merkaba. The Merkaba is kind of like the chariot. And then hopefully you left a lasting impression, you left a lasting mark on those people to continue your legacy of being a good person, right? By going with the flow, by allowing things to play out, by allowing the universe to just, you know, do its own thing, you have a much better life. Now, you still have to gain mastery of the magician, though. You still have to put in hard work. It's not saying to not put in hard work, but once you gain mastery, you know, you understand things. And that's the problem. That's the problem with the rich. Let's talk about it. This is something that even I've dealt with on my channel before, whatever. People will say, well, if I've built something for myself, why should I help another person who hasn't put in as much work? Okay, let's think about that. That is a very valid point. Let's talk about it. The person who invented the electric car or the refrigerator or anything put in a lot of time and effort and work. Now, they expected some sort of compensation because they did that, right? That's what it is. But ultimately, they still helped hundreds of people around the world store their food, do everything else. They didn't just say, oh, well, I invented it, so it's just going to be for me. And if you want to buy something from me, I'm going to charge you $1 million, and here's my blueprint, and you probably can't figure out how to build it because I'm the only one who knows how to build it. No, that's not how a company works. That's not how a business works. That's not how the world works. When you invent something, that's your lasting legacy. You helped a lot of people. Now, that's not saying you don't deserve compensation for it, because you do, right? But it's not saying to try to control everything after you have it. So what else is going on? Let's look at your rune cards. You have Thurisaz, Thorn, Protection, Barriers, Pride, Self-Deception, Spiritual Meaning, Destruction and Rebirth, Inner Truth, and False Ego. So you need to be very, like, you're protected right here. You do have barriers around you, but don't have self-deception right here. Don't have self-pride. Don't, you know, allow this to become a thorn in your side. You have Fredo. Speed your journey, ease a transition, aid communication, share good news, or bring good news and find your spiritual way. So I kind of feel like during this time period, it's you dealing with pride, okay? You're dealing with pride right now. The pride of the situation is that you might have malice because you think other people don't deserve the nice things that you have because you've worked hard for them. That's true, right? But ultimately, you know, even people who make a lot of money, they still give to charities. It is what it is. They still try to pay it forward. Now, you know, how those charities use the money, that's whatever, right? But that's the whole point, is trying to build a better world to leave it for the next people. It's like, you know, leave your campfire or campsite better than the way, or better than when you found it. So I feel like you're dealing with, you know, the pride energy. You're mastering something, you've gained mastery, and now you don't want to help people, but that's the whole point, is that you have to move forward. Because here's the thing, even if you help people, will they ever gain the mastery? Like, I could tell all the people the secrets in the world, but unless they know what I'm talking about, then they're not going to be able to use them for their own benefit. They'll just be like, wow, that's a really cool, you know, story. That's a really cool secret. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this reading, Sagittarius, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.